So here we come to the second and so far final Final Fantasy theatrical film, and although it shares the use of CGI animation with the original, it couldn't be more different. The Spirits Within told an original story, while Advent Children is closely related to the games, in that it acts as a direct sequel to Final Fantasy VII, which is one of the most popular games in the series, especially in America. If you haven't played Final Fantasy VII, you'll almost certainly be lost by the plot, as it only offers the slightest effort at letting you know what happened previously. And honestly, even if you played the game, the plot is so incoherent that you'll probably be lost anyway. Advent Children takes place 2 years after the end of Final Fantasy VII, completely undermining the epilogue to the game, which showed the city of Midgar completely engulfed by greenery. It turns out that was 500 years later, and before that happens, the big bad villain Sephiroth returns. But his return is not an easy thing that flows naturally. Instead, it stutters along. The main characters include Cloud Strife from the game, Tifa Lockhart also from the game, and a few of the children who had appeared, most notably Marlene, who narrates the beginning. There's also several new characters who all sport white hair and are going around looking for their mother, which is not really a literal thing, but rather it refers to Genova, a biological agent that they were created from. If this sounds, well, exactly like Sephiroth, it's because each of these characters are essentially larval forms of Sephiroth who, after dying, went back into the planet's life stream and poisoned it because he's a dick. And now people all over are coming down with a fatal illness called geostigma. Apparently, the geostigma is an invitation for everyone who has a bit of Sephiroth in them to join together and hurt the planet somehow. Because after Sephiroth found out that he was basically created in a lab, this made him so full of hate that he wants to kill everything. So basically, it's a rehash of the game, except the majority of the beloved characters from the game are shoved aside to cameos to make room for 3 nearly identical villains with the same personality, one of which eventually does sprout into a fully grown Sephiroth near the end of the film and fights Cloud. There's also a load of dream sequences that Cloud has involving Aerith, who died during the events of the game, and Zack, who died before the events of the game. So if you haven't played Final Fantasy VII, there's really no reason to watch this. It'll be a confusing mess of references and characters stitched loosely together by many motorcycle chase scenes and sword battles. The animation is good, but it's more of an anime style than The Spirits Within, and it doesn't give itself that same almost insane amount of detail, nor will you find yourself ever forgetting that the movie is animated. The action scenes are frequent and frantic, but sometimes seem to go on and on with nothing being accomplished. I have played through Final Fantasy VII and consider myself to be very familiar with its story, but unfortunately I still found Advent Children very hard to follow, due to the fact that it just simply didn't hold my interest the way the game did, mostly due to the fact that the majority of the game's cast doesn't show up in the movie until the very end, and then they only have a line or two each, with the bulk of the film focusing on the uninteresting new villains. I also felt that the film did not add anything to the overall story of Final Fantasy VII, but rather detracted from it. Everything about it undermines the game, taking away all of its finality with a rehash. It almost seems that after playing the game for over 40 hours, you don't accomplish anything at all, because it seems that Sephiroth is destined to come back, and probably still could come back, and the Shinra Corporation that had caused such damage to the planet is still in operation. Trying to review the movie as a fan of the game and series, it doesn't come off well. It comes off as unnecessarily flashy nonsense that detracts from the game. Trying to review the movie objectively, it comes off as even worse, as mindless drivel spurned by endless meaningless action scenes, cameos of characters that you're expected to know, and references to events that you haven't witnessed. I can't really recommend Advent Children to the general public, nor to Final Fantasy fans. Surely this film must have its fans, of people who just want to see the likes of Cloud and Tifa on the big screen. But when you scratch the surface, there's nothing underneath. Advent Children is a shallow effort and a poor execution of a flimsy premise. 2 out of a possible 10.